All right, it's day 5, and I think we're going to look at this CMOS chip right here. I believe it's corrupted or something's going on with it. Obviously, batteries are off, so it's not going to save any data, but I should be able to write to it and stuff like that, and we got some type of error there. So I figured we would start to investigate it, and I'll probably pull it off and socket it later anyway, so hopefully the shadow is not too bad. So anyway, I have the memory interlock switch disconnected, and if you trace it back to this pin, it's this red wire that's up here. Hopefully you guys can see that on this connector right there. And I have my logic probe hook up, and so it's low when the coin door, it's high when the coin door is open. And if I close the coin door, it basically connects this red wire to ground, which would mean that it should go to low. So I'm going to pause and connect it, and which should be the normal, operation, and verify that that goes to low. Be right back. Okay, so I have. See, can you see? Is that better? I have the coin door closed in essence. And it is low. So we know that that's the behavior we expect. I just looked up on the schematic and traced on the schematic where this pin goes to, and it goes to, I don't know if you were going to be able to see this, it goes to chip 6E, I believe pin 4. Oh, crap. Now I can't remember. Was it pin 4? Should have probably printed out the schematic. I could do a continuity test real quick just to verify with my multimeter. If I connect to that red wire, should be, I think it's pin 4 of, let's see here, E, and this is 6, so 6E right there. 1, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, nope. It should be pin 4 or 5, dang it. 6E, and it should be is it a 7432? Yeah, 7432, which is a positive. I looked up the TTL, it's a positive OR. So if pin 4 or 5, so maybe this is not connected. Oh, I don't have my multimeter on, duh. That would help. Yeah, it's pin 4. Okay, so it goes to pin 4. And if we put our logic probe on pin 4, it's low. So that's matching, okay? And so basically the positive OR, I think it means if either pin 4 or 5 are high, then 6 should be high. But in this case, it's low. So I think both of them need to be low. 1, 2, 3. Oh, we're getting... One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is high and it's toggling. What does that mean? Maybe because I'm still in a certain mode. Let me come back and make sure I'm like in game running mode or something. Okay, so I went back and looked at the schematic a little bit more, and so it comes, you know, the interlock switch comes from here, goes to 6E pin 4. Pin 5 is the other side of the OR, I guess, and that comes from, I think, eventually from the address lines. It comes from, I think, chip 6G. I didn't write it down. Pins like 1 or 2 or something like that. But it makes sense that those would be toggling. That pin 5 would be toggling. It's coming from some address lines somewhere, either related to this chip, the CMOS chip itself as well. So if basically what I did is I disconnected, so the coin door is open right now. We're reading high, and the logical OR is basically if either one of those pins is high, then the output has to be high. For the output to be low, because it's a positive OR, I guess, for the output to be low, both pins have to be low. And so we know that 1, 2, 3, 4 is high because the coin door is open. 5, let me try to get my finger off of that. 5 is toggling, which makes sense. I mean, it's got to have some type of signal on it or something, I don't know. But because pin 4 is high, then we expect pin 6 to be high, which is actually the case. So to me, it looks like this chip is working correctly. If I close the coin door, see if I can do that here. If I close the coin door, which I just did, now we have low. Pin 4 is low. Pin 4 is low. And then pin 5 is still toggling like it was before. So that means that pin 6 should be toggling, which it is. And then pin 6 goes to, I believe pin 4 and 5, they might be tied together, of 6I. So where's 6I at? So this is F, G, H, I, pin 4 and 5. Where was that? E, F, G, H, I. Okay, so here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is I think a tri-negative NAND. So it's going to be the opposite, like of something pin 6. Pin 6 is the output, which then goes to, if you can see this over here, pin 10 of this bad boy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. So that should look the same as pin 6 over here. Is it 7 pins? So pin 6 should be here. Yeah, it does look the same. So I would say that, you know, the TTL logic, I don't know enough. I mean, I'd have to compare it kind of to what another game is doing in a tracked mode at this point in time. But I would assume that the TTL chips look to be doing what they're supposed to be doing. Again, maybe it's easier to troubleshoot with the coin door open. Because with the coin door open, we're going to be forcing this state into a write protect mode. So pin 10 should be in some steady state. No, it's not. Why is that? I would have thought that this pin 10 would have changed. $11, $12, $13, yeah, $9, $10. Yeah, it's a 18 pins there. So that's interesting. I would have thought that this would have changed. Let me reset the game maybe. Now it's steady state. I have no idea what the game's doing right now, of course. I reset the game. The screen should be at this point saying, you know, all systems go, and that there's a CMOS error or whatever, you know, close the door, open the door, blah blah blah, the door's already open. So if I hit then advance, then it changes state. Wacky, I don't know. Alright, I'm perplexed a little bit, so I'm just probing around. Let me think about what to do. Okay, so I went back and read the data sheets. I still don't think I'm going to be able to come to a conclusion, but the write enable on the CMOS RAM, the 5114, has to be low, I believe, for something to write to it. And so, you know, by having the coin door open, we have, you know, a high because it's not being pulled to ground. And then we come over here to this chip and we have, was it pin 4 is high. And then that pin 4 goes to pin 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is also high. And the output of that is 6. So this is a tri-state negative, or tri-input negative, positive AND, which is taking in consideration pin 3, 4, and 5. And I think for this to be high, all three of those have to be high. So I don't know if any one of those is low, I think it would be high. So I don't know if that's the right behavior, basically. I'm not positive. I mean, it's mostly high, but it is toggling. And then this is toggling here. I don't know. Kind of weird. So is this chip suspect? I'm not sure, because I don't know if that one pin in a positive NAND, negative AND, can see. You would think it would be low. The 6, because this is high. We want it to be low. We want pin 6 to be low, and it's not low because the coin door is open. And we want the write enable to be low. So, no, is it? No, we want the write enable to be high, actually. What the hell? Doesn't make any sense, does it? Because this is high, makes it high there, then high there, which should force the opposite, I would think. But it is keeping this somewhat high, which protects it from being written to, I guess, but it's toggling, so I'm not sure. Anyway, that's where I'm at right now. Either bad CMOS, or maybe this chip is bad, or some other TTLs in here, I'm not sure. So alright, that's all I got for right now. Till next time. Okay, everybody, so I was going to give up on this whole exploring the CMOS, right, and whether the door open is reading correctly and all that stuff. Right now the door is closed, and actually I moved to, this is my Stargate. So one of the things about using logic probes, right, is that you don't really know what's normal, especially when it's not clear, like the state's not constant, whether it's high or low and staying that way. You can't, if it's toggling a bunch, and there's a whole bunch of inputs and stuff, it's kind of difficult to figure out, is it supposed to be doing that or not doing that? You don't know. So what I decided to do is come to my Stargate and just go through what is it doing on my Stargate, which would be like the normal, and so we would know what to compare it to. So to review, basically with the coin door closed, this pin right here, I think, which is 1J2 1 or whatever is a connector, that goes to this chip here, which is 6E pin 4. So right now the coin door is closed, and that's closed, and this chip right here is a 2-input OR logic chip. So pin 4, if either pin 4, is that pin 4? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. If pin 4 is low, or if either one of these pins, 4 or 5, are high, then pin 6 will be high. But right now it's toggling because pin 5 is toggling, and that's what's driving the output of pin 6. So let's go ahead and open the coin door real quick. Oh crap! I'm gonna have to pause and use the key. Be right back. Okay, so I opened the coin door. Now we have high, and if we go to pin 4, that's high. So pin 6, that's pin 3, pin 4. Pin 5 is still toggling, but pin 6 should just be high. Whoops. Gotta be careful when doing that. So, basically the logic on that chip is working correctly. So we assume that 7432 is working okay or something like that. Now that goes to chip 6I, which is this chip, pin 5. So if we go to pin 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's high, just like we would expect, because that's the output of the other chip that we just did. And now this chip here is a tri-input, and I had to go back and read and do some learning, so this made more sense to me. So I'll probably still explain it wrong. This is Jacklick's arcade channel, not expert arcade channel. So you get it's a tri-input negative AND. So basically, if pins 3 right here, 3, 4, and 5 are the input group there, and then pin 6 is the output. And for pin 6 to be high, all the other 3 pins have to be high. So what doesn't make sense to me is that just driving pin 5, 3 is toggling, 4 is toggling, just driving pin 5 to be high is not, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wonder why that's high. Alright, let me see if I'm on the right chip. So I was actually doing the chip above the one. This is 6i right here. I know it's kind of hard to see, but 1, 2, 3 is 1, 2, 3. 4, 5 is high, which is what we expect, and then 6 is like toggling, you know, there's something going on there, right? So I don't really understand why making pin 5 high via having the coin door open would actually do anything, right? So that output of this 6i chip, is it 6i? Yeah, 6i is output is 6. It goes to the right enable of the CMOS chip 10, pin 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you can see there's all types of stuff happening there. So having the coin door open just by itself is not keeping that right enable high. If you look up the data sheet for the 5114, see if you can see this, you get a little chart like this. And basically what it's saying is there's a chip select pin, which is pin 8, and then the right enable pin is 10, and it's written with a CS with a bar over top and a WE with a bar over top, which means that these have to be low for them to basically to work, I guess, right? So if you can see that when chip select is low and right enable is low, then you can basically write data to the chip, is how I interpret this. And then if chip select is low and right enable is high, then all the data lines, I guess, are output. So you're not writing to the chip, you're taking stuff out of the chip, I guess. And then there's this other state where it says if chip select is high, you're in this high impedance mode. And I had to look that up, and it basically means it's like floating, like these values, whether they're high or low, are being driven really by what's being sent out of the chip is what I think is happening. But pretty much it's almost like, I think you can look at this as floating, where it's not in either a high or a low state. Okay, so let's look at that. We're going to look at chip pin 10 and pin 8 on the 5114. So pin 10 with the door open and the game running is going nuts, right? So this to me, and then if we go to pin 8, it's high, right? So we know that if, based off of looking at that, if pin, get out of the shadow for you, if the chip select is high, we're in high impedance mode and it's locked high. So having the coin door open at this point doesn't do a damn thing. Yeah, I mean, but all the logic chips seem to be doing what they're supposed to be doing. So what I thought we would do is probably let's monitor pin 10 and then reset the game. You saw it go low for a split second, while as we went through the diagnostics and the game booted, we saw some behavior there. So I think that's kind of important. The other thing is if we, and I don't know how I'm going to do this, is if we power the game off while holding that. So let me see if I can set this up where I can hit the power switch while holding this on there. Let me see if I can do it with one hand. Oh, that's the wrong chip right here. Alright, I'm going to try to do it. Nope. Right, okay, I'll be back. I can do this here. I'm going to try to hold this on there and hit the power button. Well, it just went off. I was hoping that I would see it stay high, right? Because what we want to do is we want to see this right enable stay high and potentially that chip select go low. So we'll do it the same process again. But what we want to do is when the game's powered off with the coin door open, I would expect that you know, the proper function would be for this chip to prevent data being written to it with the coin door open. So let me pause and get set back up. Or actually, let me pause. All right, this is hard to film this stuff. So I'm on the chip select pin 8 on the CMOS 5114. We're gonna hit reset. And this is a little bit different than what I'm getting on Joust because I'm not going through, I'm getting an error when Joust boots up. So you see a little bit of a chip select state change right as the game boots. I'm just going to hold it there for a little bit. I'm sorry, you can't see that very good. Alright, that's good enough. So now let's do this and then power it off. If I can do it. Nope, it just goes down. Or maybe it's happening too fast for us to even see it. I think like what's happening is that should with the coin door open, that this should do something with chip select, or that write enable should definitely, you want the write enable to stay high. So that's why it doesn't make sense, the fact that this is a NAND, and if all three of them have to be high, we're driving one of the pins high, which would make the write enable go low, which would enable you to write to the 5114. That's why it doesn't fully make sense, but regardless, I figured we'd do some measurements and look at what the activity was on a working board first on a Stargate, and then we'll go look at it on my Joust and see the difference.
Okay, we're back at my Joust here, so coin door's open.
It's very hard for me to turn it on while down here. So we'll just review and make sure that we see the same thing. Helps if I hook it up to the 5-volt line. Alright, that's high. And then we need to come down here, I think pin 4 we said. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright. And then we go down here and it's pin 5 should be high. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 6 should be toggling. Now we get a different cadence of the toggling, and I'm going to show you why here in a second. And this pin 6 comes over here to pin 10, which is the write enable. Huh, that's different behavior than I see. Oh no, that's the wrong pin. There we go. And it's matching, right? Pin 10 of the CMOS RAM. And I'm going to pause and show you why on the front of the machine here. So what I notice is when it's toggling consistently, like deet, 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 like not going crazy, we're not in game mode, right? We're in this, hey, adjustment failure, restore factory settings, blah, 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 high score table reset mode, right? So that's why the chip is beeping like that. As soon as what I'm going to do is hit advanced just to get into game mode. And now we have our high score table that looks corrupted with a whole bunch of 7s. And then we'll pause and come so now that we're in game mode, pin 10 is more in that high impedance state is what I would say. You know what I mean? Based off of pin 8 here is high. So the chip select is high. And then pin 10 is going like crazy, right? So, and that's the same behavior that we saw with Stargate. So I expect that this is working correctly. Now I'm not going to waste a lot more time on this. I just figured I would investigate and learn some more, logic stuff and how to see if I could use a logic probe to help here. Oops. You gotta be careful here. I just frickin' reset the game by touching 2 pins together, so. That sucks. All right, I was about to try to test something. You can hear the game running. So I was having my logic probe on pin 10, and I was going to try to reach up with the other hand and turn the game off and everything. Let me turn that down just a little bit. But the game kept on freezing or something. Like I kept on thinking I was bridging 2 pins together or something. But my hand was over here by this ribbon cable, and so I was just off camera. I was screwing around trying to figure out what the heck it was. And now, if you guys can hear, let me turn it up. Watch. We hear music. Boom. I just barely touched that ribbon cable, and now I'm kind of like in some weird reset mode or something. My 0 went off of my LED, and the game's frozen. So that is probably not good. Let me take this board out and check the pins for connectivity there, and also maybe reflow solder on it, on that connector. Be right back. All right, I'm going to end this video so I can actually post it, and then I'm waiting on some NVRAM versions of the 5114 there. So when I pull this board to reflow solder here, I want to socket that chip and stuff. And I guess that's it. So let me finish this video, and then the next time we'll work on this ribbon cable, which could be bad, the ribbon cable itself, or and I still think we have a CMOS issue, so we'll try to narrow that down. All right, bye.